you need to find the best fantasy football team on planet Earth, and
Right.
or not on planet Earth, in the universe. And they're like, oh, we've heard word that on Earth they're really good at fantasy football, and so they go to Earth. They find the best fantasy footballers, bring them back, only to realize that our fantasy football is what it is, and it's not minotaurs and dragons playing football.
Right. Right.
But they use their skills as good fantasy managers to put together a squad, and maybe they pull it off
with the minotaurs.
Yeah, and the gnomes.
Or with the NFL players against the minotaurs. Like Space Jam.
That'd be spicy. I like that too.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue for the intro video. We are live, everybody. It's the Dynasty Pulse with Bigz and Greinberg.
Hi, I'm Greinberg.
And Schultzy.
Hey.
Greinberg is not with us this evening. He has better things to do, apparently. The running joke was we murdered him. That was funny. But you have to watch our other show on the other network for that. Anyway, welcome to the Q&A episode. I solicited some questions, and we are here to answer those. So we are going to do that. I'm about to share this video and let everybody know on the tweet machine that we are in fact live. Also, I have great news. My boy Lan Larison, UC Davis legend, FCS running back, who's going to be playing against the Cal Bears in Berkeley on August 31st, and I'm efforting getting to that game. He's like, this dude is this season's Dylan Laube. Like, some of the games that he put together, like 200 yards rushing last year. The last four games, he, after coming off of injury, he averaged like 140 yards per game or something like that. So somebody was talking about, like, these are the FCS people who are going to be they're on the Senior Bowl watch list, and I'm gonna so these are the guys that I'm watching. And so I'm like looking at it kind of absent-mindedly, and I see running back Lan Larison. I was like, oh my God. So I totally like jumped in the comments, and I was like, shout out UC Davis legend, NorCal, Lan Larison. And then he quote tweeted my reply.
Look at you big
So
shot.
He's going to be in the NFL next year, and he quote tweeted my reply. So I said, hey, DMs are open. Come on the show. I mean, so if he does that, I'm going to be like, well, let's meet downtown at the fucking bar, and we'll just like have a conversation on film. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then when we go to the Senior Bowl, he's going to be there, and we can like everybody meet him. Right?
That's cool as hell, man. Surprised he didn't get transfer portaled.
I mean, yeah, I don't think he's not on that level. he's going to be like practice squad kickoff returner. that's his ceiling in the NFL is like practice squad guy. But I mean, he's going to be able to do it for like 4 or 5 years.
Right. Spring football legend coming in hot.
Yes. Yeah, he'll have some preseason games. Ooh. Trey Benson just went. I'm waiting on. I got one more pick. Richard Sickles is picking before me, and we've been sniping each other. He took Brock when I wanted Brock. I took Curtis Samuel when he wanted Samuel. So I'm not going to say the name of the guy that I want, because if I do and I put it out in the universe, then Sickles is going to know. And and snipe him from me. And in fact, if the zero indicator on the number of views, if I'm not smart enough to know that, I'd think Richard Sickles is watching. All right, so welcome to the show, everybody. It's the Dynasty Pulse. We are live on the Fantasy Football Plus Network. Shout out Bradley Stalder, our boss over at Player Profiler. And also tomorrow, when Schultzy gets it uploaded, we will be pre-recorded on the Undroppables Network. So if you aren't watching now, hopefully you're watching the pre-record. And shall we get into it?
Well, let's.
All right, first one. And I like what this guy did. So basically, I sent out to like a bunch of like listener groups and stuff like that. We'll call them fan groups. And I said, hey, we're going to do Q&A, answer your Dynasty questions. And I opened up a Google Doc and I said, here, it's open for edit. Everybody jump in. So Discord channel, a sleeper chat, a couple chats on Twitter. And so people started like filtering in, including Dick Skulls, with their questions. And the way I had it was I had Q, enter your question, and then handle. So after that, put your handle so that we can acknowledge you on the show. And one person, and so everybody started putting in their questions, and they were going in chronological order. As soon as somebody got in, they would put their question at the bottom. But one fiendish individual decided he was going to jump the line. So we're going to ask his question first. And that is there a strong case for Stroud? At the number 2 spot in a Superflex Dynasty League. It's a startup.
No.
Joe. Is that Joe Kuvatakis? Well, Joe, I don't know what you mean by at the number 2 spot. I'm assuming that you mean with the 102 and a startup is CJ Stroud.
Like, I'm saying no.
Is there a strong case? There isn't a strong case. There is a very weak case. In fact, if it's a player preference thing and you like CJ Stroud better than you like Anthony Richardson, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and you feel like his ceiling is higher than all of those running quarterbacks, then by all means, go ahead and think that he might have a 45 touchdown, 5,000 yard season, which I don't personally see happening. But if you really like the guy, like, get your guy. The other thing is, you're right. He's not going to be back around when you pick at the 220 or whatever it is, 222, 223, 223. He won't be there in a Superflex Dynasty League. So if your heart is set on him, then yeah, grab him at the 2.
Yeah, I guess I can agree with that part. Like if that's your dude and you want him that bad, go for gold. I'm never going to do it. Like, he doesn't run. And if your name isn't Patrick Mahomes, I don't want you as a top quarterback if you're not going to run.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty simple.
Shout out Toronto Dave.
Yeah. What's up, Toronto Dave? And Albert, he popped in. Albert hits us up every week.
Albert Mataquin, I believe, is in Australia, and Toronto Dave, I believe, is not.
Wait, hold on. Let me guess. Winnipeg.
No. I want to say that I met Toronto Dave in our draft night out at the Expo, but that could have been another guy from Toronto named Dave.
Dave, another Toronto man named Dave.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's at least one.
Next question. This is from at the Dunnit 13, Dustin Ludke. Which backup quarterback are you going after more? Trey Lance, Sam Howell, or Justin Fields? I'm going to let you take this one first because I have a definite answer. Yeah, Toronto Dave, it's you. You were sitting right across from me, and we had a great time. It was me and Tip Major and Greinberg and the Minnesota couple. She and I talked about Hot Dish.
So that was before Greinberg got murdered.
Allegedly murdered, wrapped in a tarp, driven up to Nunavut, weighted down with cinder blocks and dropped through the ice, which is why he's not here with us today, allegedly. Trey Lance, Sam Howell, Justin Fields. Who are you handcuffing to your Dak Prescott, Geno Smith, and Russell Wilson shares?
Who? I mean, the obvious answer is Justin Fields, because I think sans injury, he's the easiest path to playing time, and he's got the game-breaking rushing that we've seen out of him, and I don't see those other dudes like reaching that high of a level if they get their opportunity. I think I would probably rank them Justin Fields, Sam Howell, Trey Lance. I like Sam Howell better than Lance only because that dude is like a Ryan Fitzpatrick gunslinger. And so like he can go get you points. He's going to throw some picks while he's doing it, but I think he has higher ceiling than Trey Lance does.
His problem was the team that he was on gave up and traded away their two best defenders because they basically cashed in the season. But before all that happened, may I remind you and everybody out there in listener viewership land that from week 1 to week 14, Sam Howell was QB4. QB4. So Sam Howell has been my priority as a handcuff. Also, the fact that Geno Smith is older than Trey Lance and Justin Fields. So I will say that I absolutely do have more shares of Sam Howell than I do of the other two guys. However, Trey Lance is one of my backups in the Scott Fish Bowl, because just in case something happens to Dak, and I have so many shares of Dak, I need to make sure nothing happens to him. So as long as I have Trey Lance, he will never play, which means that Dak is going to play the full season. Oh, I just jinxed it by saying it. No,
the other thing with Geno is he's got some lingering injury stuff heading into the season already.
Yeah, and Sam Howell, I mean, he was a rookie quarterback that was QB4 the first 14 weeks of the season last year, and his problem was a terrible offensive line. He was sacked more times than anybody in the NFL. He threw a bunch of picks because he was just under duress all the time. If you put him behind a competent offensive line in a good scheme, especially with Ryan Grubbs as the offensive coordinator and not like the freaking Jack Del Rio, Ron Rivera era, or error, as some people would call it. Sam Howell's potential is through the roof. He's a running quarterback. That was one of his upsides in college, and he showed it with rushing touchdowns last year.
I was going to say, don't forget, before his last year in college, he was looked at as like the number one pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
The traits are there. It's not like he's a total nobody. He was definitely disappointing his last year at he was North Carolina, right?
Yeah, but that's because he lost he lost all his receivers. And so all of a sudden, and that's when he showed that like he could rush for 600-800 yards in a season or whatever he did. I don't know what it is about my dog.
I agree with you. I bet you didn't think that was coming.
No, but you were smoking that Sam Howell strain? I didn't know that was available here. That must be like a Toronto exclusive or something. Is that an indica, a sativa, or a mix?
Well, it's probably a hybrid because he can run and pass.
Hey, yes, sir. We're having a good time. All right. Shout out Dusty, one of the best comedians working right now. Justin Fields is an interesting one. I would probably, like you said, just with his path to starting, or path to the field, I think I would take him still over Trey Lance. But I mean, when I say that Trey Lance is on my Scott Fish Bowl team, that's because it was my last pick. And Justin Fields was long gone by then. All right. Hey, so we got another. Go ahead.
You locked that up before Dak was holding out too.
Yeah. Great. But also in the fishbowl, I missed out on both Dak and CeeDee Lamb, which was my ideal stack going in. I managed to get out of there with Trev and Ingram, which was a goal of mine.
You and
Both
me
of
both, my
whom
friend.
I've missed out on this other draft I'm in. But anyway, we have another question from Dalton Ludke, the Dunit, DUNIT 13. What's your ideal bench and taxi squad size in Dynasty?
This is tricky. My two main Dynasty leagues I play in, the second one was kind of like there's three of us from my home league who wanted to branch off and do another. So then we made another with three of us and 9 more people. So we kind of like grandfathered in the roster sizes and stuff like that. So I don't have a ton of experience with varying roster sizes, but our benches are very deep, which I liked at first, but honestly, I don't see the need for it. What it creates, in my opinion, is shitty trade offers because people are rostering shitty players. So
right.
The fact that we have these super deep benches is just opening up that guy to offering, I don't know, a couple of no names they're going to cut for Chris Godwin or something like.
Yeah, I feel like waiver wire guys should be left on the waiver wire, and I feel like a bench plus taxi squad in the range of 9 to 10 players total is probably like the best case scenario. I think 6 bench and 4 taxi squad would be ideal to me. And what that does is every year when you go into your rookie draft, if it's 4 rounds, then you are able to pick 4 players and immediately stick them on the taxi squad. And then if they're going to play, then you're going to have to make a decision if you're going to drop them or if you're going to drop your bench guy for them, or they just have to sit there. My home league, we don't even have a taxi squad. I lobbied for it. We were supposed to be like, the commission was like, I'm not a dictator or whatever. So every year, for 3 straight years, at our owners meeting before the draft, I lobbied for a taxi squad. And nobody knew what I was talking about because they don't play in a lot of leagues that have taxi squads. So 3 years in a row, I didn't get taxi squad. So every year we do the draft and I have to make a decision like what rookies that I just drafted in our 5-round rookie draft, I have to now like stick into the bench and drop Treylon Burks and Wan'Dale Robinson and guys like that, which in retrospect is perfect. I think that's the best way to do it. So we also have position limits in that league. So we can only carry 3 quarterbacks. It is a single quarterback league, but we can only have 3 quarterbacks. We can only have 6 wide receivers or whatever. Maybe it's 7 or 8. I don't know. But I do like the limited roster size because it does create waiver activity and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. When you have a bench of like 8 guys, activity. Yeah. When you have a bench of 8 guys and then you have 5 on the taxi squad, you can stash all your rookies there. You don't have to worry about anything. And then all you have to do is just like if you get an injury, like, and it's even worse when there's like 3 injury spots plus 5 taxi plus 8 bench. And then it's just like, it makes the waiver wire just not even worth it. So I think shorter benches, bigger taxi squads is how I would.
It forces managers to make much harder decisions too.
Yeah. And I mean, like when you think about it, you can't win your league in the draft, but you can certainly win it by utilizing the waiver wire. Mm-hmm. So, use your fab or your waiver order or whatever strategically and fuck everybody else. All right. Oh, hey, it's a repeat question. And that wasn't Joe Kubatakis. and maybe this guy Joe didn't put the question up there. I did. And then he entered it when he finally could get in because we talked earlier, and he was having trouble editing. So
you just put this guy on blast for no reason.
No, I read his question first, which, I mean, I bumped him up ahead of Dustin. So, is there a strong case for Stroud at the number 2 spot? Shout out, gotcha 420. Gotcha 420. You know what? I changed my mind. There is no, I'm kidding.
I really thought you were going to do it.
No. All right. Will Scary Terry be more of a breakout this season with another receiver leaving Washington with the recent trade of Dotson to the Eagles? This is a question from Wilson27, who I'm currently in a draft with. So I refuse to answer that, as it could lead to heartbreak. Actually, no, I won't. I mean, it does leave. Well, you know what? I don't think it affects his value very much at all. I don't think he's going to get the ball more than he would have if Dotson, who's been pretty terrible, was still there, right? I mean,
yeah, I think that's one of the big things here is people are all of a sudden acting like Dotson is this 100-target guy.
Yeah, and he's a 600-yard guy, which is fine.
Right.
Play the matchups as your wide receiver 4 or whatever on your 10-player bench. But let me approach this a different way, with a look to the future, because I am telling the future. Ooh. Will Scary Terry be more of a breakout this season with another receiver leaving Washington with the recent trade of Dotson to the Eagles, but with Brandon Ayuk coming in, being traded to Washington? And the answer to that question is absolutely not.
You ripped the carpet from under me, because I was going to say I'm not touching this answer until we know what's up with Ayuk, because to go out and make a big deal to go make a push for Terry and, make a trade or something and make a ballsy move. Well, yeah, what if in a couple days they trade for Ayuk? Then you're screwed. So I'm not acting quick on this.
No. I received a trade offer yesterday. Also, Mike, let us know in the comments if you're watching, and we'll give you the punchline to that joke in the group chat. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I received a trade request or a trade offer yesterday, and one of the things I was talking about with the guy, let's see, here was the trade. He offered me Sam Darnold and first he offered Sam Darnold, Jaden Reed, and a 2025 second for Alvin Kamara, Jamar Burton, and Ladd McConkey. And anybody that knows me knows that was like a smash decline. There's no way I'm giving up McConkey or Kamara. Even in Dynasty, I'm not giving up Kamara because I want to win now. And also, this is a boosted, like, super RB league. Like, the RB is like 0.25 points per carry, PPR, boosts on yardage all over. So I said, Ladd is my dude. RBs are worth too much. He said that he was looking to move Darnold, so he offered me Sam Darnold and a 2025 second for Kyle Pitts. And I was like, Pitts is my only starting tight end. So eventually, like, we get into a conversation, and then I said, you know what? Let's wait a week, and we'll have a better idea as to the roles for some of the rookie running backs on my team. Estime, Garendo, them and Mitchell may be second half players. August 27th is when the 53-man rosters are due. And if Estime or Garendo are the handcuffs to CMC or Javante, they may benefit you. I would do Darnold and Deontay and create a page of RBs and picks probably, because then I'd have my backup quarterback and Deontay Johnson, which, hey, fine with me, and I'll give up a handcuff rookie running back for that. And so my point here, in case you were wondering, Schultzy, was was maybe right now isn't the best time to trade.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe because today is August 22nd, and August 27th is when the 53-man rosters are due, 1 p.m. Pacific time, I think, 4 p.m.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And so let's wait till the 27th, because then my guys will have more value. If like Garendo is suddenly like the backup to CMC, and then you know what I mean, like,
right,
your guys might have more value in a week than they do now. So, all right, and so that leads to, I told you my COVID brain is foggy. That leads me back to the whole Brandon Ayuk situation. If you have Scary Terry, don't freak out until at such time as Brandon Ayuk is traded to the Commanders.
If I had Scary Terry, I would be shopping, because I bet you could get someone to bite on something you like.
It depends on how sharp your league is. If you're in a league that has a very active group chat and everybody talks about transactions all the time, everybody will be aware of the things that are going on with Jahan Dotson, and they'll know that, Scary Terry his value might be like at a peak right now, pre-Ayuk. However, if they're all 49er fans in your league in the group chat that are scared of Ayuk getting traded to Washington, then they might not be willing to bite on Terry McLaurin.
That's fair.
All right. A related question from our friend Dick Sickles, friend of the show, and at Rich Sickles GBM, formerly known as Gingerbreadman. Which Commander's receiver will step up as the wide receiver 2, and why will it be Ben Sinnott? All right. I hate those kinds of questions. And why will it be? You remember earlier when I said that Richard was on the clock in front of me? I do. And I didn't want to say the name of the person that I was targeting.
He took him.
The answer to your question, Richard, is it's not going to be Ben Sinnott. It's going to be De'Ami Brown, and then Luke McCaffrey. Remember, Ben Sinnott is just a lowly tight end. What you're going to want here in this situation is a legit wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 before you even think about a rookie tight end. What do rookie tight ends do anyway? Also, go ahead and make your pick, please.
I would lean towards probably De'Ami or McCaffrey, like you said, only because one, Zach Ertz is still going to be a thing. I'm not saying it's going to be a good thing or a productive thing, but it's going to be a thing. And that is going to limit some targets right off the bat. And then second, he's a rookie tight end. He's not Sam Laporta. He's not one of these like other studs we've seen come out. So to think a rookie tight end is going to lead or be the second target, leading target getter on his team is a little strong.
He's garbage. Like, he was garbage all through college. I don't know why the Commanders wasted such draft capital to grab him. He's not very good at all. I wouldn't draft him with your dick.
Check out our polls.
All right, half an hour, man. We are making good time. Like, this is a really good time suck for us. All right, next question. They didn't put their name. Do you view the wide receiver holdout situations, Chase, Lamb, Ayuk, as an opportunity to trade for a stud wide receiver at a discount? Go ahead, Schultzy. You handle that one.
I mean, it's like, so he's saying to go get one of these dudes while they're holding out.
That's how I'm reading it.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure I was reading it and comprehending properly. I mean, if someone is sitting holding one of those dudes and they're trying to trade because they're scared of a holdout, then yeah, go take advantage of that. Absolutely. I think it all depends on the heat check of the owner, though. I mean, if the owner is concerned about a holdout, I would attack it for sure.
So, God damn it. Carson Steele with like a huge run. Death to Deneric Prince. Sorry about it, DP.
Ball State legend Carson Steele.
Right. UCLA Sucka. Let me ask.
They transfer portaled him from Ball State, man.
I know, and he was mediocre at best. Whereas if he had just gone from Ball State, he could have been like, he's a small school guy, but look at those numbers. Like maybe don't take the NIL money in the transfer portal. So let me ask you this, Schultzy. So if I view Chase, Lamb, and Ayuk have with their possible, are you Anonymous Wolf? Is that your?
No, it's so anytime anybody inputs it says anonymous and it comes up with like an animal. Everybody has their own. So I guess
that's
I'm
still
Wolf.
you.
Yes.
That's still you. Okay. All right. So I would use the Chase, Lamb, and Ayuk situations as leverage to try and like secure them at a discount. But here's a question. To add to the question, I'm not answering a question with a question. I'm just adding an addendum question, I'm adding an addendum because addendi would be two addende. Anyway, so would you do you when you offer trades or get into trade discussion, how much of a pitch, how much of a sales job do you try and do? Or do you just like let the trade offer speak for itself? Or do you get in there and say, hey, I was looking at your lineup and I noticed that you might have these needs. I can take this holdout off your hands or this injury guy off your hands and give you this piece. Like, how much of that do you do?
A little bit of a mix, more leaning towards being quiet. If I ever say something, it's along the lines of like my thought process or like where I'm coming from. So like they know, so where, to open up a dialogue and to have more discussion. One of my biggest pet peeves in Dynasty is when, and I know exactly who this guy is in one of my leagues. He does it all the time. He'll try and convince you why the trade is good for you and why you should take the trade.
Right.
There is a huge difference in stating your rationale behind an offer versus trying to tell someone to take it.
Yeah. I mean, I typically don't send a trade offer without talking to the person first. You know what I mean? Like I will say, hey, what do you want for? Or,
right.
I'm interested in these guys, or I'm looking to move off of so-and-so, and he could benefit you. What do you think is a fair deal? Like I begin the dialogue before I send the offer in most circumstances. However, I did go through this today. Somebody in one of my Campus to Canton leagues posted, my team's not going to win this year. Everybody's on the block. And I'm in rebuild mode too. According to Dynasty Daddy, I'm the second worst team in the league. Even though I had like a whole ton of like Romo Dunze, Lad McConkey, Xavier Worthy, like all these rookies like ascend from my campus roster. I'm still kind of thin at quarterback, whatever. So I immediately spun off give me Geno Smith, DeAndre Swift, Rashid Shaheed, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce.
For free.
for nothing. No. For Xavier Worthy, my first and both seconds in next year's rookie draft, and my 2026 first. So if you look at it in a certain light, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are expiring assets. DeAndre Swift is an expiring asset. Geno Smith is an expiring asset. But all of those guys in a single season, combined with the pieces that I have, if that was my roster turnover, I could absolutely compete this year as long as they stay healthy or whatever. And then I get my ship, and I don't have to worry about whatever. Right? I go back into full rebuilding mode. Granted, this is preseason, and I don't have to worry about losing Xavier Worthy because I feel like he's better in best ball formats than in like standard scoring. Just because A, he's with the Chiefs, B, he's going to be like a deep target and not like a huge target guy. He'll be good for like a couple of 3 catches, 85 yards and a touchdown games, a few of those throughout the year, but I don't think he's going to be 8, 9, 10, 11 targets plus 80 yards and a touchdown like every week. But Ladd will, and Odunze may, and you know, like I can keep those assets in house while I'm moving, like bringing on Tyreek Hill and his wide receiver 1 potential, Travis Kelce, his tight end 1 potential, DeAndre Swift and his does he have a return to like what he used to be? Rashid Shaheed, 3rd-year breakout, and Geno Smith. And then he comes back and he says, I don't want the picks. And I'm like, what are you doing with how do you do a roster like shuttle? Like, how do you say everybody's available and you don't want picks? This is like campus to Canton. It doesn't. Yeah, so anyway, so that would have been a blockbuster. Could you imagine like all of a sudden you see like come across your chat, a trade has been accepted. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Swift, Geno Smith, and Rashid Shaheed for Xavier Worthy and some picks. But I just wanted the point was I just wanted to get the dialogue started because I wanted to know kind of like where he was at. But normally I don't do that. Normally I would have just messaged him and said, I saw that you said all these guys are available. What are you looking for? I should have done that in retrospect. But I was just like, what if? All right. Next question. Richard Sickles, make your pick.
Come on, you dick.
Right? I want to be able to react live when he snipes me. All right. From Dirty Dino, that's a good Dynasty name. In an SF league, I'm going to quibble with your use of your syntax there because you're using SF as a replacement for a superflex. So it would be in a superflex league, not in an superflex league, where tight ends are 4-point passing and 6-point rushing. Who would you rather have, Kyler or Stroud? Did you just say touchdown?
You said tight ends, not touchdowns.
I did?
Yeah.
I could have swore I said touchdowns. Okay. Let me back up. In a superflex league where touchdowns are 4-point passing and 6-point rushing, who would you rather have, Kyler or Stroud?
Kyler.
See, Kyler Murray.
I know the steam's rising back on Kyler. Like the value's coming back up. But it's like people just forgot the dude we watched in 2022 before he got hurt.
It tends to happen. And everybody's like on the newness, and that's CJ Stroud, which is fine. Like his range of outcomes includes being a top 10 quarterback, but it's not going to come from his feet. And Kyler Murray's ceiling is top 5.
Yep.
All right. Jared Goff. # Nirvana, boys. Let's fucking go! Shout out Cal Bears.
This is from my best friend Dennis.
I don't like Jared Goff or anything. All right, Jared Goff over under 15.5. Over under QB 15.5 this year in traditional scoring. And is he a top 15 quarterback asset in Dynasty? Because Dingus, aka at Madison Madman, thinks for both, but he'll shut up and listen. Well, Dingus, aka at Madison Madman,
is my best friend. My best friend Dennis.
Oh, this is Dennis?
Dangus.
Got it.
Yeah.
Because that's a great nickname.
He has been in my phone for over 10 years as Dangus.
Now, is he in Madison?
No. That's a Blackhawks reference. The Madhouse on Madison.
Got it. He's because you guys are from Indiana, which is next to Chicago, so you are Blackhawks
from
fans.
Where I just moved from, and we were like you could get to downtown Chicago in 2 hours.
Well, I sussed that out pretty well.
You did. And also shout out because he's full Chicago sports fan, so none of that pick and choose. He's all in.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta go where the talent is, and if you're running a league or if you're running a team, even if that talent is on your rival, I tried to pick up Travis Kelce today.
No, I'm with him. Yes, for both of these as well, man. One thing that's huge for him this year, I think he only plays 3 games outdoors.
Yeah, if that, maybe Chicago and Green Bay.
1 Chicago, 1 Green Bay, and I think there's only one other one.
Yeah.
So and that's huge for him.
He's a stud indoors. Take the cleats off, put on the turf shoes, and it's not going to matter because he doesn't run anywhere anyway. but a full season with Jahmyr Gibbs fully integrated into the offense and a healthy David Montgomery for 17 games. Plus you have Laporta. Plus you have the Sun God. I mean, it's wheels up for Goff. I absolutely think he smashes 15.5. I think he's definitely in the top 15, if not top 10. Where did he slot last year?
That's a really good call on the full integration of Gibbs too, because obviously that wasn't the case off the jump for them. And when they finally figured him out, it was a game changer.
Yeah. He was definitely suppressed. I mean, so he has a top 6 finish in 2018 when they went to the Super Bowl, which was the year that I always compare to Stafford's Super Bowl year, and I'm like, they were the same guy. So why is Stafford the hero and Goff the GOAT? And then last 2 seasons finished top 10 in both, 10 in 2022 and 7 in 2023. 600 attempts last year, 587 the year before. So that's about standard. 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns. Absolutely. I absolutely see it happening again. That's the offense. That's the system that he's in at this point.
And so taking a quarterback, I mentioned earlier, I'm not interested in quarterbacks who don't run like near the top that aren't Mahomes. Goff is a perfect example. Like when you skip down a tier and you can get into like that Goff, the Lawrence area, like I'm all about those dudes. Right. But for people who aren't, if you're not going to pad the stats running the ball, I don't want you as my QB1 if you're not Patrick Mahomes. Like it's that simple.
Why doesn't Trevor Lawrence run like he did in college?
Last year it was a little bit. It was half the season. His lower body was wrecked, so he couldn't really run very well. But he's really they haven't utilized him in like RPOs a ton. They've done it a little bit, and they've had some success. He gets his scrambling. That's where Trevor gets most of his yards. because he's really good in the pocket. He's really good at escaping. His pressure to sack percentage in college coming out was like insanely low. So that's one thing he's just really good at, and he's athletic enough that when he tucks it, he can go still. I mean, you saw that run in was the national championship game, or was it the semifinals against Ohio State? Right.
You should see when I tuck it.
Check out our polls. Ooh, buddy.
Hell yeah.
But Trevor can turn the wheels on. He's not built for it, so they're not gonna ask him to do it a ton. And that's not really a Doug Peterson thing, but so yeah, a guy like Goff, guy like Trevor, these are the types of QB2s I'm all about.
Yeah, and I would put Trevor a tier higher than Goff, and I put Dak a tier higher than Trevor. But with the caveat that all of them have top 10 potential, Goff having done it before. But we talked a lot on this show and all the shows because I love him so much. Andrew Cooper at Koopa Fiasco on Twitter, the tight end guru. He's talked about his yin and yang tight ends. Make sure you grab one of the top 5 guys: Laporta, Kincaid, Kelsey, etc. And then later on in the draft, you grab somebody with the potential for 90 catches, 10 touchdowns. And if you kind of like translate or transfer that theory to the quarterback position, then you're going to want some guy who's going to give you 400 to 600 yards rushing and 5 or 6 rushing touchdowns in a season, because they're only going to be in the 25 touchdown range and maybe even in like the 10 to 15 interception range. So then what you're looking for your Yang quarterback is somebody exactly like Goff or Derek Carr, where the interceptions are suppressed, but the yards are going to be around 4,500 and 30 touchdowns. Dak takes it another level, getting into his 40 to 45 touchdowns range. But that's Dak, because Dak doesn't run either, but he throws a ton of touchdowns. They still don't have a goal line back, even though Ezekiel Elliott was doing that in New England. He wasn't doing it very efficiently, so it's still going to.
Dallas has always done a good job at using Dak as a runner in the red zone.
Yeah, especially like within the 5-yard line. Like,
yeah,
so he is going to get those rushing touchdowns, just maybe not the 400 to 600 rushing yards, but like it's going to be 40 to 45 touchdowns. Whereas Goff and Carr are going to be closer to 30. Anybody that wants to know what I think about Derek Carr, if they can't already tell from the Raiders gear and stuff, watch our fantasy forecast on Fantasy Football Advice Network. Go to the YouTube channel and hit subscribe. And next week we're dropping our bold predictions. And I'm not going to spoil it here, but let's just say I'm pretty high on Carr. Shout out Toronto Dave.
bigz' favorite strain, Derek Carr.
All right, next one from Superflex King. Who would you target 105 in a PPR redraft? And what was funny was that everybody gave him shit in the chat because I took his question from the chat and transferred it to the show sheet ish thing, but they he said okay, so he said, why would you all target 105 in a PPR redraft? And Gator J said Amon-Ra. So somebody said, why? The Hoff said, why are you asking that if you are the Superflex King? He said because it's not a Superflex league, duh. I'm a big fan of Brees this year. Kind of stuck between the ADP pick with St. Brown and going with my guy in Brees. Seriously think Brees is RB1 this year. Somebody else, Vince Mapstone, put Bijan, Tyreek, Brees, Amon-Ra, and Lamb in that order. I would go Lamb, Tyreek, Brees, Amon-Ra, Bijan in that order. or with those 5 guys. And then Gator J said, you asked about the 105. I expect 101 CMC, 102 CD, 103 Tyreek, 104 Brees. So at 105, I'm targeting Amon-Ra. And I like that. If Brees Hall is there at the 105, I'm smashing him, and I've done it all. I think I have like 30% of my Dynasty leagues, I have Brees Hall at this point. And almost all of the, what do you want to call it? Event leagues that I'm in, the Scott Fish Bowl, Women of Fantasy Football stuff, the Eliminator leagues, Warrior Bowl, Chuck Bass's Ozempic Trials, the Raz Bowl, all of them. I with my first pick, I was taking Brees. I was taking Brees at the 104, the 106, the 107, the 102, I think, in one draft. So I'm huge. I'm way over on Brees this year. But if he goes at 4, like Gator J thinks, then I would be more than happy with Amon-Ra at the 105. I got Amon-Ra at the 206 in the Scott Fish Bowl, and I didn't take him. I
forgot about that.
And I didn't take Brees in the Scott Fish Bowl. I went with Anthony Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
I went with AR. But yeah, and then I got Amon-Ra at the 206. So if he's 105 to me in Superflex. Okay, so yeah, that's so essentially it's redraft. But it applies to Dynasty too. If you're in a single quarterback and you're in like a single quarterback startup, I'd still go in that order. Yeah. How about you?
I was just distracted Twitter scrolling while you were talking, and you know that video of it's a Padres fan and they're celebrating. He looks at the Dodgers fan, and the Dodgers fan looks at him. He just flips him off straight to his face.
No.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. All you need to know, Padres fan looks Dodgers fan straight in the face, flips him off, right? The caption, Dennis Allen celebrating a touchdown in week 1 and seeing Kendre Miller. Fantastic work.
Oh, God. I hate that for Kendre.
I know, me too, dude. I have him in 2 of my leagues, and I'm sad.
We have breaking news.
Oh, shit.
Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski said Deshaun Watson had, quote, general arm soreness today and was held out of most team drills. He would not rule him out for the Seahawks game.
So it happens when you got to jerk it yourself.
How many Deshaun Watson shares are you sitting on?
0.
Samesies. All right.
As far as the 105 question goes, I would agree that it's Amon-Ra unless one of the dudes you're projecting to go in front of him drops. I love Amon-Ra. I love the targets. Like if he creeps into the 175 range, I wouldn't like it. It's plausible. They target him in the red zone. They scheme him open. Like how many times do you watch the Lions offense and it'll be like a critical spot and you're like, you got to give it to Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
And like, it's coming, but they still scheme him wide open.
And boy's on steroids too. So that just like his value just goes up.
And he knows the name of every receiver picked before him. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't know about him. It's kind of a, quiet story. But
so when I lived in Alaska, I was playing baseball, and I had a tryout with a team, and so I go out to the batting cage and I meet everybody, and I did a little hitting session, did a little infield outfield session, and never got a call. And so another team calls and is like, "Hey, you want to come work out with us, and we'll see if you're a good fit for the roster." So I came out there and same thing, like hitting the cage for a little while, did some infield ground ball stuff, and a couple days later he gives me a call and he says, "Hey, congratulations, you're on the Anchorage Braves. And I was like, fuck yeah. And you know what happened to that first team? It went into my head, fuck those guys, right? So first game of the season comes, and manager of the team puts out the lineup, and I'm hitting fourth, and I'm like, whoa. I'm not a power hitter. I'm a gap to gap guy. I'm not a cleanup guy. I'm not hitting any home runs for you. Second at bat, I hit an opposite field bomb, and which was like the second home run of my adult life. And right. So I come around and I score and I go to the dugout, and I was like, I don't know what happened. He's like, I told you. And it was like that faith. And I was just like, yeah, but fuck those other guys. Right? So our first game against them, I come up in a critical situation. It's like late inning, 7th or 8th inning. There's guys on second and third. We're down by a run. And I'm just like, fuck these guys. And lace a line drive into the outfield, 2-runner score. We take the lead, win the game. And I had the game-winning hit against the people that didn't pick me. So I exactly understand where Amon-Ra is coming from. But I don't do steroids.
No steroids.
No steroids. Although I would, I mean, Jose Canseco is the poster child for you can do it safely. All right, moving on. What is the greatest cartoon theme song of all time, and why is it DuckTales? And that was a question from Vince Mapstone. And I said, it's not DuckTales, because Animaniacs, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and Johnny Quest all clear DuckTales. What? DuckTales. Woo! I mean, yes, it might be burned into every brain that was born after or before 1995 or whatever, but that doesn't make it the best.
Animaniacs. I didn't even think of that one. 100%. There's baloney in our slacks. Are you kidding me? Fantastic. Yeah, no, it's the Animaniacs.
Yeah, we have paid for play contracts. Like, there's baloney in our slacks. Kills me. When Animaniacs was out and running, it came on in our market at 4:00, which meant that at 4:20 they were just getting into the final third after the commercial break. So it was like we would be hanging out, 4:20 would come, we'd smoke up, and then watch the last little bit of Animaniacs.
Hell yeah.
And on top of that, one of the writers was named Sherry Stoner.
Perfect.
And if you collect a group of 20-year-olds who are all getting high and watching cartoons, and one of the people's names is Stoner, there is nothing better to a group of 20-year-old stoners who are high watching cartoons at 4 in the afternoon, eating cereal.
I love that.
And being high. But Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, that theme song fucking rocks. And Johnny Quest, if nobody knows Johnny Quest, you should go to YouTube and look up Johnny Quest theme song, and that's a banger too.
My other one, my shout out is Phineas and Ferb.
See, that's like one generation removed from like my brainworms.
Dude, they got Bowling for Soup to do their theme song.
I love Bowling for Soup, and I think I remember that, and I think I've listened to it, but it was more of like a passing thing. Kids watched Phineas and Ferb, and I would like come into the room and see it every once in a while, but it wasn't a thing that got burned into my brain. But I say that, and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends was. But like I was trying to think of that era and what I could remember, and like I couldn't remember the Fairly Odd Parents theme song.
Oh, that was on my list too. I love that one.
Okay. Is this? Oh, come on. None.
Are you over here looking up a song?
No. Yeah, and that's the wrong one.
Well,
okay. Oh, here it is. Help YouTube by answering one question. Which of these apps have you seen online advertising for recently? TikTok, Facebook, Instagram? None. All right. Let's see if this will work. All right, tell me if you're getting this audio. Are you getting it?
I remember this show.
Oh yeah.
Dude, there's no words. It's just action. It's just music and action.
And a catchy little like 60s African beat jazz number. Like,
love it.
Yeah. So good. All right. You guys, what a wonderful show. We managed to squeeze a whole hour out of some questions and stuff. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Find him at Schultzy with a 1, not an L, and me at Big Boned FFB. Of course, you've been reading these, and so you know where to go. Also, follow Mike at FFConnect99 if he's not dead. And catch us on the Dynasty Pulse on Fantasy Football Plus and Undroppables, and catch us on Player Profiler. I have 2 shows a week. Schultzy has guested for me, and he also does Player Profiler news stuff, just like me, and Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Go and download that app and get into it because it's pretty cool. All of the things, and yeah, we'll see you next week. Maybe. Yeah, we'll see you next week.
All right, hopefully with Grindberg.
Hopefully with Grindberg, if he's not dead in the bottom of the Arctic Ocean.
To find out.
Right. Spoiler alert. We hope you win.